All right, my friends, I am honored to have with us right now the First Lady of Truth, Candace Owens. She needs absolutely no introduction whatsoever, and she will she will speak for herself. I think I'm catching this mucilaginous mung, but we're going to get right to it. She is live and she is gracing the portals of our humble show. We'll get to her right away. But as you know, my friends, this important word comes first. When disaster hits, you don't rise to the occasion. You fall back on what you already prepared. Wildfires, floods, hurricanes, tornadoes, blackouts, EMP and grid attacks, riots, disaster. Get it? And when the warning comes, there's no time to search for flashlights or bottled water or first aid supplies while your family waits at the door. That's why My Patriot Supply created the fully stocked bug out bag. You've got to get this. It's a rugged, grab and go tactical backpack packed with 60 emergency essentials, including food, water, shelter, fire, starting tools, lighting, first aid, and more. Everything is already packed and ready right out of the box. Keep one in your car, your home, your RV, your office, your cabin, because emergencies never make appointments. And right now, you can get $100 off plus free shipping for a limited time. So act now. There will be no special invitation in life. Disaster always comes unannounced. Get prepared now. Go to preparewithlionel.com. That's preparewithlionel.com and click the link today. And without further ado, there she is, the First Lady of Truth. Welcome and thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for being so patient. I know we were like trying to find a date that worked. So I'm so honored to be here.
Are you kidding? No. First of all, I've got to tell you something. Number one, congratulations on the new edition.
Thank you.
You know, the name Lionel always has a nice snappy ring to it. Lionel Farmer sounds like something from the medieval times. Anyway, congratulations to you. Congratulations to you.
Like it. It's exquisite. Lionel Farmer. It does. It sounds
Indeed.
expensive.
Sir, Lord. Anyway, so thank you for that. And also, by the way, congratulations. I want to tell you right off the bat on your Catholicism. My wife and I, we are born from kindergarten through high school. You should have been at Catholic school in the 60s. You would have loved it. And you recently went to Rome to get confirmed. What is your name?
I picked Joan, St. Joan.
There you go. As opposed to, you should say, no, Joan Crawford. Really throw them off. Let's get down to, by the way, I'm Thomas Aquinas. Go figure. In any event, let's get right down to brass tacks, because I know you're so busy, and for you, you're sick. You've got the mung. You're into some kind of bronchial in extremis. So I thank you for being here. What do you do?
I always just say to people, I'm just a concerned mom, I think is the best way, because it kind of covers all of those categories, like the things that you would do for your kids and thinking about their future and what society they're going to grow up in. Like, you will become anything that you need to become any day to like guarantee their future. And so my podcast is really driven by things that genuinely interest me. And it usually interests me because there feels like there's something existential about the moment that we're in. Obviously, the topics that I've covered about the corruption of the courts, the Epstein stuff, moving on now into the Charlie Kirk assassination. So what drives me is definitely motherhood. So that's probably the best descriptor for me, because it includes all of the above. No, absolutely not. I mean, when I was younger, the first thing I wanted to be was an archaeologist. I remember very vividly. I had this thing about Egypt, and I'm just very interested in Egypt. And I'm actually kind of getting back into it because of the occult stuff. And that kind of all stems from like Egyptian black magic, black book stuff. So that's been interesting. And then I wanted to be a lawyer. I think I would have been a good one. I will say that. Did not cross that bridge, but I probably would have been a darn good lawyer. And then, media was what I went to school for. I went to school for broadcast journalism. I always loved writing. So that was a passion of mine. Like, I remember from the time I was like 8 years old, writing poetry in my room, always very much into lyrics and wanting to communicate. So I guess it sort of all converged in the podcasting world. And I love it. I love being able to connect with people and to explore all of these topics at once. So I was born in New York, in White Plains, New York, but I was raised in Stamford, Connecticut. So I'm one of four. I have one brother and I have two sisters, and I am number three in line. So maybe there's a little bit of middle child syndrome, but I grew up, me and my sisters are just a year and a half apart. So we were back to back. So always clashing, always fighting. It's probably where I strengthened my debate skills, was just with my sisters.
Maybe I shouldn't say this, but has anybody from the defense team ever called you and said, listen, this never happened, but I'm going to send an investigator out. Could you maybe point out some things that maybe you think were a little weird? Did anybody from the DOJ ever say, can we go through this? You have the most incredibly mapped out story. Nobody?
No. And I find that to be very strange. I mean, I would definitively participate. I based on everything that I have seen, I believe that they are trying to convict a innocent man, in that I don't believe that he killed Charlie Kirk. Now, could he have been involved? Do I think that he was picking up Lance's clothes and moving things around that day? Yes. But is he guilty of murdering Charlie Kirk? No, I don't believe that. And so the idea of him being hung for this is out of this world. I would, of course, testify and just tell the truth. And the truth should stand whether you're testifying for the prosecution or the defense. So it's crazy to me when people say, oh, you're going to help Tyler Robinson get off. I'm going to tell the truth. I'm going to tell the truth. And so if it helps him get off, it's probably because he's not guilty.
Why do you get off? Because of what are you going to do? Like distract them, like sleight of hand?
There has not been one piece of compelling evidence that has been presented regarding Tyler Robinson. And it's been the exact opposite, where there's so much evidence that he did not do this, that it's really stunning to me that people are pretending that it's this platitude of friendship to come out and say, well, Tyler Robinson did it on a rooftop, and if you're a real friend of Charlie, you're going to want to see this guy convicted. No, Charlie was committed to truth in his life, not delusion. And he certainly would not want to see an innocent young man go to prison for something that he didn't do. So I don't get it. I don't understand. As I was saying, I'm remarking on my show today, how far they're going to take this thing, because everyone knows. So at this point, it really is just like watching a show, except they've sort of broken the fourth wall, so to speak. And we are just going like, hey, we can see you guys, and we know what you're doing. We're supposed to be the audience here. But this feels weird. And I just don't know how far they're going to take this.
Are you not fascinated how left and right doesn't exist? I loved your interview with Hunter Biden. Loved it. Anna Kasparian, a year ago, I would have thought, not my cup of tea. But now we're just, wait a minute, what? Something has happened. Yeah. There's no, explain this.
I just think it's when you're confronted with real evil, you kind of stop with like your petty grievances with people, and you realize what's happening in this world. And we're suddenly being confronted with real evil. Like we're talking about people that are trying to allow the assassination of a good man in broad daylight, right? We're talking about people that are covering up from minors being trafficked globally around the world by elites into Egyptian temples designed after an Egyptian temple on a Caribbean island. And they're trying to gaslight us about that. And these people are in control of our countries. And so at that moment, if you can't go, hey, we can scrap about this other topic later, but like we need to confront this satanic evil that's taking over our society, then you're of no use to us. We can't. If you care about your society, your children, your future, you have to confront this dragon. And so it has brought strange bedfellows, so to speak. But I really enjoyed Anna Kasparian. She was amazing, and she was feisty, and she totally gets it. And I think that, again, looking at Gaza, it's like, how is anybody looking at that and trying to justify what they've done? You have to be worshiping Satan to still be on the side of pretending that is even remotely okay. And you also have to be somewhat obtuse to think that if you aid and abet a society that does that chicken's not going to come home to roost one day.
Do you believe there is the personification, the epicenter, the manifestation of evil in this concept, this entity called Satan?
Yeah. I mean, this has been the most apparent thing to me. And what makes me really happy is that people are finally speaking about this stuff openly. I think part of the reason that Hollywood exists is to make people think that the idea of witchcraft and the occult is imaginary, right? Oh, it's a movie, it's hocus pocus. Oh, it's just a movie. But this stuff is real. This is how people live their lives every day. And as we have gone deeper into the Charlie Kirk story, there are so many obvious occult elements to this, and being able to speak about how much the symbolism matters to them, getting into the history of Israel's symbolism. Like the Star of David is not a Star of David. It is Baal worship. That is what it is. It is the Solomon's seal. I mean, this is what they think, that his ring had magic powers. And so to get people to that point where they now are acknowledging, wow, there is real evil. I think that is one of the I don't want to say the upside, but like one of the better things that have come out of a Charlie Kirk assassination is that his death did lead to this awakening of a truer, deeper evil that is manifesting in our societies while we have been distracted. The satanic Freemasons that established America. I mean, we just did a deep read on the Freemasonry. I mean, people who think this like, oh, America was established by, the founding fathers were this, they were Freemasons. They were actually Freemasons. And there was a battle that was waging upon the continent of Europe. The Freemasons were trying to crush the Christian Catholic empires. They had success. They started a bunch of revolutions. And yes, it is just a fact of a matter that when you peer behind what was happening in all of those revolutions, the push to break down the Christian empire was being led by Sabbatian Frankist Jews. And so they tried to wipe this out of history. It's such an important thing for people to read about and learn about. I was brought to it by studying Sigmund Freud. There was a schism in the Jewish community, a false messiah who a third of European Jewry followed, who practiced pedophilia. They basically modeled the Catholic Church. They had their unholy sacraments. They had an unholy Ava Frank who slept with her father, Jacob Frank. The Frankists were behind the French Revolution, the Russian Revolution, and behind the methodical satanic effort to break down the Christian empire. And so America was established. They looked at America as a new Atlantis, right? They were fighting all these battles, and they said, we can sort of create this young country that doesn't know anything. It will be in its adolescence, and we will shape it with this mindset that it is Christian, when in fact it was initially meant to be an infiltration of the Christian faith. It is our dollar bill, which we covered in the book that we were reading, is a Freemasonic symbol. And yes, it was the Weissops, the bankers, the Rothschilds, right, the Weissops that were behind the Illuminati. That stuff is real. It is not imagined. It is the basis of our foundation. So Catholicism was never meant to be intended for America, America's founding. They always wanted, and that is why you can buy every flavor of Protestantism. Nobody cared when I was a Protestant. Right. Suddenly I became a Catholic, and it was out, because this country was established to never be Catholic, to never be Orthodox. And look what they're getting right now. They're getting this more Catholic baptisms and conversions than I think ever before in America, which is amazing to see.
Tolstoy said, history would be a wonderful thing if only it were true. And isn't it amazing, the older you get, how you learn things now, and you say, why wasn't I told? And why am I the only one apparently who knows this? And then you mentioned conspiracy theories. Gore Vidal says, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, I'm a conspiracy analyst. How can you not see this? If I give you a dollar bill with 15 symbols, what is this, happenstance? Yeah. What is this, random? You're crazy for pointing that out. It works after a while. People think, maybe I am crazy. Did you ever go through a conversion fairly recently? What was your red pill moment? What was that? When did the light go on?
Well, I would say so much that brought me to wanting to examine true history was Sigmund Freud. Like I kind of just tweeted something about like, he's kind of weird and perverse, and they came in and attacked me. And I was like, okay, let me get more educated. And when I learned about Sigmund Freud and how he created a modern psychology to gaslight kids who were actually being raped in Vienna by their parents, and that he was a part of this satanic cult, like he was a part of the occult. It was a Jewish mysticism, so to speak. Not so to speak, it was Jewish mysticism. And I began just reading books, and I wanted to make sure to save myself from this obvious, you're going to be called an anti-Semite, to only read books that were written by Jews, committed, faithful Jews. And when you read The Assault on Truth, it's such an important read. I can't express this enough. The Assault on Truth written by Jeffrey Masson, who was an Ashkenazi Jew, attended Harvard, and actually worked under Anna Freud, was a proud psychoanalyst who was going to take over the archives. And she selected him to take over her father's archives. And so he thought, I'm going to learn German and read all of Sigmund Freud's letters so that had never been released to the public. He learned German, learned to speak and read German, and was shocked to discover that Sigmund Freud was a complete fraud, knew the kids were actually being raped in circumstances where the kids were killed. He had gone down to the mortuary, examined their body. He knew it was all real, and yet he gaslit these kids anyways. And so he thought he was ringing the alarm, and the psychoanalytic community was going to thank him. And it turns out they rose to fight him, and he dedicated his whole life to this book. That 10-year lawsuit with New York Magazine, which he won and then lost and then won and then lost. I mean, and he ended up publishing the letters that were never supposed to be seen. And that will lie again that he was a Satanist. He was a Sabbatian, Frankist. And that brought me to understanding the theology that is guiding what we're seeing. If you don't look into the theology of what happened and look deeper into history, which again is never intended for America. We're a young country, and they wanted us to be a young country and not to look into European history, Russian history, so significant because they fought these battles first with these Satanists. You then become rather obsessed and you think, what was I even doing in public school? And then you really learn that the public school system was designed by the anti-Catholic and anti-Orthodox and anti-Christian Soviets who wanted to make sure that they could trap us in these little indoctrination camps. And it's worked by and large, but now it seems that everyone all at once is sort of descending out of the haze and realizing that there's something sinister.
Now you help me.
Because we were young. I mean, one of the things, I recently went to Russia, and one of the things that was...
I heard about that.
I was speaking to someone, and I asked him a question about something that was in his office. I was like, how old is this? And he sort of laughed, and he said, older than America, right? Just an artifact, older than America, which is so... And to realize how long that history has been there, we've just been in our infancy, right? 250 years. Right. We're in our infancy. But right now, I think what's happening is we're moving into our adolescence. And this is what is scaring people, right? We're starting to test and realize something's not right here. We're missing something. You haven't actually been telling us what's going on. You've been sort of treating us like we're toddlers, giving us no information, actually getting us to read books that don't even actually unpack history or what's happened. People that you're telling us that we should idolize, like Sigmund Freud, are actually perverts who harm children. You're protecting Jeffrey Epstein. Now I need to know what is happening. And inevitably it does bring you to theology. It is all of it is being guided by a very sinister theology, Satanism, the occult, and it is driving people, and I will say that as well, as something good that came out of something so evil of Charlie's assassination, is it really brought people to church because they realized I can't contend with this evil.
Let me ask you something.
I can't. There has to be something. This is obviously spiritual. And even though I don't know where I need to be, I do know that I need help. I need help spiritually. And that was their response to it.
What was Charlie like? If you just hung around him, because this sounds stupid, I feel like I know him.
Yeah. Charlie, I always express to people is just how funny he was. He was very, 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 very funny. Great sense of humor. We laughed constantly, made fun of ourselves. He was self-deprecating. He's one of those people that could take a joke, which was also great about him. And he really was a boy genius. He just had this capacity to go, very little sleep, go, and to understand really deep topics really quickly. He'll be able to comprehend them, constantly having to be fed information. It's why when he was young, he told me that they wanted to actually drug him because he had thought he had ADHD, and actually he was a genius. So he ended up going to a special school. And no one worked harder than Charlie. He worked like a horse. It was one of the things that we always said to each other. The one thing that we can control is that we can outwork our opponents. We can work harder. We can be smarter, and we can do better than them. And we did that. And we didn't sleep. We were exhausted. And he never cared much about how he looked. He always wanted to do the right thing, and he wanted to meaningfully earn a seat at the table and genuinely deserved to be there. He was hopeful. He every morning would send a Bible verse. He would send me a Bible verse. Looking back at that, it just so sweet. He told me that just by himself, and when he was, I think, in high school, he sat down and read the Bible. Again, just his mind, his curiosity, and then from that moment on was really guided by his Christian faith. And I think ultimately that was what they took advantage of, was knowing that he had that heart. He had a naivety to him. So one of the dumbest things they're saying is like, oh, to say that he had people that were bad around him means to imply that Charlie was stupid. Yeah, like, yeah, Charlie was naive and trusting. And
Right.
and I also, by the way, in retrospect, very naive in some ways, because we couldn't comprehend this level of darkness. Who
Good.
could? Who would you be to consider that? But above and beyond, he was really hopeful and deeply, deeply funny. Right. And that's the reality, is that was the hook. He wasn't like initially really crazy about her. They went on a couple of dates, and she was, then he kind of thought, you know what? God put her in my life. Like, she's so faithful. She knows the Bible inside and out. Like, and I mean, when I say like he wasn't that into her, they'd gone on a couple of dates. It was nothing crazy. And he was kind of coming off of a little bit of a heartbreak. And then with more time, he just thought, this obviously God put her in my life. And that was, I believe, how she manipulated him. And she then brought in the whole TPUSA faith component, which is the most evil component of Turning Point USA. It is the evil. And she just put the pastors in his life, put everybody in his life around him. And of course, as Elizabeth Lane spelled out when she sort of gave that analysis of that Erica is a psychopath, any person, when you're married, your number one person that's going to be giving you advice and guiding you is going to be your spouse. And that's why it's such a critically important decision who you marry. It is the most important decision that you are going to make. And so I just never for a moment, and of course, because I was swept off of my feet by my husband, I was getting married that year, and I wanted it for Charlie. And I just so regret that I didn't look into her, but I wanted it for Charlie, even though I didn't think they were going to get married. I was just happy that he was getting his mind off of somebody else who he was totally crazy about. And I thought it would be like his first relationship, so to speak, because that's what it would have been.
But there was no reason for you to know anything. How would you have known? I mean, you can be suspicious all you want, but do you remember the moment when you thought, oh no, holy shit, we've got a problem here? What was that moment when you realized this woman's she's dangerous?
I obviously, when Charlie passed, I remember when Andrew Colbert called me, and in retrospect, of course, super weird that they knew Erica was going to take over within 48 hours. But I was in a stage.
Oh, Charlie announced it.
Yeah. Andrew told me this, and he said, haven't announced it yet, but it's going to be Erica. And I said to him, oh, thank God. Because, and I now realize it was because of this July interview that I did with Tucker Carlson. I went up to his house when he had just had dinner with Erica and Charlie, and he was telling me, because Charlie was going through all the stuff with the donors, they had just done SAS, they were pulling a bunch of money, that Erica was more hardcore against Israel than Charlie was, and that she was the one pushing him. And so I thought, I obviously knew what Charlie was going through with Israel in the end, that she was gonna, like, thank goodness, like, no one bad and right. is going to like turn this organization into something else and try to slide into his chair. And then I didn't know what the heck I was watching. I mean, I couldn't believe the tour, the Shabbat Shaloming, the Barry Weiss, and I was going, what on earth is going on?
Right.
But it really took, I had to be willing to emotionally get to that place where I could follow my gut on everything being wrong with her, because I knew how much Charlie wanted love. So I had to grieve it. I had to grieve that he departed this world and didn't get the one thing that I knew that he wanted most. I mean, I could show you text messages from Charlie that are just poetic about how, if he had found that love in his life, like what love could get a man to do. It's so beautiful to read back. And so when I read that, and when I went up to Wyoming and I just read through all of our messages and I just sat out there, I knew, but I wasn't ready to know. I assumed she was grieving during that period, because I introduced that video I assumed that she was grieving. I was very
Well, we all
shocked
grieve differently.
every day. And that video, I actually didn't watch it. I couldn't watch it. I mean, I was just bawling my eyes out. I saw the video on Instagram, did one of those automatic like things, and didn't actually watch it. And
you assumed
process. I always say I was brain damaged from the trauma of watching Charlie die for a while, and so I had to come back to, you know, my senses, and to be able to, I had then had to review. I then got, you know, the obviously the Zoom call was like game over. You just go, what the hell am I watching? And then I went to my sources at Turning Point USA, and they're telling me she was at the office every single day immediately, running around with Stacey Sheridan. And then I realized, wait a second, the weirdest part about this whole thing is like, she didn't have any of her family with her in Utah. Like, your husband just got shot and killed. Like, where's your family? She's with the head of fundraising who's taking the videos of her. And then I went, oh my, no, this is really wrong. And that's when things started to pick up. And then I went to meet with her, and I was hoping she was just going to straighten me out and give me information that made sense, because maybe she was under duress. Maybe they were making her do things. I needed to even plausibly consider that before I considered what the reality is. And, you know, nail in the coffin for me was when she lied to my face about the 30-06 bullet, saying Andrew went rogue. When I got the information, and I asked her a few times, I was like, that sounds very strange that both Andrew and the surgeon violated HIPAA and went rogue. And she just sort of like, and I just went, okay, yeah. They truly believe they can sell it when they say it. I think they truly believed that no one would question the grieving widow, that would be it. And because that's been their escape every time. We did this for Erica. We did this for Erica. We did this for Erica. And now that I have learned the true nature, that she's been the one orchestrating all of these attacks against me, against from the very beginning. She knew that I was going to be a problem. They knew. They had already factored that in, because I wasn't on the inside of this plot. And they just know my character. They know, like, I think the whole world has learned that I'm not going to lie for money. I'm not going to say the wrong thing. So I was a thread that had to be dealt with early. And she was the one putting out this narrative, like, this Charlie was my husband. And nobody knows more than Erica, who has his phone and all his messages, what me and Charlie's relationship was. Nobody knows more than Tyler. They all know. We were like a brother and sister. It just genuinely, we're never each other's type, but they wanted to put that out there to make it seem like I was like secretly in love with him. I mean, the whole thing is so crazy. They thought through this every single stage of what the messaging would be. And, like, you know, someone's trying to take over and be the wife. And I do think that they thought they could sell it. They've tried at every chance to sell by repeating these talking points about Erica being a widow, but she is the one behind the scenes that is orchestrating it all. And Andrew Colvett has many times taken the fall for her. But even with the Catholic stuff, I mean, that story, when that woman contacted me about her sitting in the back the day after the memorial, Stacey Sheridan tapping her on the shoulder, Erica crying in the back, would you like to sit with the widow, and crying and opening up to her about how much Charlie loved Catholicism and how close he was to converting. And then by 2 days later, she's directing Alex Clark and Andrew Colvett to deny that any of that was true. I mean, it's really scary that she's able to just float between different personalities, but, you know, she is a dissociative psychopath, you know, for all intents and purposes.
Don't hold back.
But she's not able to think through how the public will respond to it, because she's rinsed herself of that emotional capability. So what I always tell people is Charlie's parents were always very private. It's who they are. It's what they have always been. And so the few times I met them at events, that's just their character. And it very much reminds me of my in-laws. Like, they are just private people. And no matter what happened, they would never be publicly interfacing. So I was never expecting them to come out and be publicly interfacing. I have heard, and I can say this, I know that people in Charlie's immediate family do watch my podcast. So take from that.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, well, I will take all the compliments in the world, because, as you know, I'm not accustomed to them actually in the media space. They've just sent out, it's just like a militancy of people attacking me at all times, but I don't deal with it because they deal in lies. And so it would be such a waste of my time to wake up every day and care about the lies. I mean, I think for the first 2 years of my career, in the media space. I had myself on Google Alerts and I just stopped doing that. I just don't care. I have a PR agent. He says I'm his favorite client because I tell him, write back whatever you want. I'm like, this person reached out. I'm like, wish them luck on their fantasy piece.
You have a PR. Wait a minute. You have a PR.
I just don't care.
You
Have fun.
You have a PR agent. This man must be a quart and a half of scotch a day. How do you do that?
I love it. He absolutely loves it. And he loves, because I give him the freedom to just write back, snippy comments. He doesn't even have to tell me what he's writing back because I just don't care, because it's also inconsequential because it's not committed to truth. And if it was going to be effective, I wouldn't be here today. They've written every nasty piece there is to write about me, about my family, about, they've reached out to people, offered them money. They offered my mom money to speak. Yeah. Totally insane that they would even consider this plausibility, where like my own mother and father would come and speak out against me. We've sent the dumbest attack dogs. I mean, one thing that I do enjoy is how dumb these people are. I mean, now they're left with nothing. They're really scraping the bottom of the barrel. I mean, they once had Charlie Kirk, who believed in the position of Zionism, and they chased him away, just like they do to everybody, like Megyn Kelly, and because of how nasty and vicious these people are. And they once had my husband, by the way, who was very involved in the Friends of Israel project overseas, and to see how they behave. The parasitic mindset, the destructive mindset. So like what they do to Gaza is their philosophy on what you do to people who have a simple disagreement with you or have a feeling about dead kids. It's utter destruction. And so I think for my husband, he's just well equipped for it. He knows exactly who he married, and it's the reasons that he fell in love with me. And so if I didn't marry him, I don't know that I would be here, because he's the person that makes it all work. I don't even know how the lights turn on, and he's given me the freedom to be myself. And I'm happy. I hope that I demonstrate to people day in, day out that if you just commit yourself to the truth, it's enough. Like they have the kids have Department of War, but we have truth.
Now, do your kids know what mommy does?
No idea at all. There are sometimes, my son's now getting to the age, he's 5, and he's getting to the age where we're out and people are like asking for a picture, and they're like, why the person want a picture with you? Like, that's weird. And I'm always just like, oh, that was just an old friend I haven't seen in a while,
This is called creative lying. Oh yeah. And eventually he's going to say you.
Yeah, no cell phones. I mean, I don't know what it was that my son wanted to watch on YouTube. And then like I appeared in the YouTube thing and they were like, oh, that's mommy. And so they know that I'm going down to record. They don't really know what that means. They don't have those questions yet. And it's just nice to keep them totally separated from that and having just a normal existence.
What do your folks say? What do your relatives say? Do they know? Do they have to? And by the way, you should have given your mother a script, some fantastic story about how you were. Yeah, no. This nice lady is like, now give me the money. Does the check clear? Okay, let me tell you what she did.
I probably should just go out to the highest bidder if we're gonna do that, right? I'm gonna give you guys everything and give them just a hilarious story.
But what does your family think? What does your family think about this?
My family is very supportive of everything that I do. I mean, I'm very blessed that I have so much peace in my familial life. And it didn't, in the beginning, there was definitely, especially when I was like contending with BLM and stuff, that was kind of a thing. I have people on the left in my family who are Democrats, and the BLM George Floyd moment was something to them. Yeah. But we just moved on from that. And my siblings are just very proud of me. My parents are very proud of me, and they just support what I do. So I am so grateful for that, because it's a space in my life where every morning I get on the phone with my sisters when I'm working out, whatever it is I'm doing, going for a walk, going for a run. I speak to my sisters on the phone. My little sister's actually helping us because she's needed some extra money and wanted us to help out with her wedding. And she's like, what can I do for work? And I'm like, well, we have this tips box, which is absolutely insane. Could you help us manage it? So my sister, my younger sister, helps out with that. And they're plugged in. I mean, obviously they know that how close me and Charlie were. Mm-hmm. So this brought them to a different place. And I'm just so grateful they were there, because my sister flew down immediately. I wasn't eating, I wasn't sleeping, and I don't think I could have gotten through that moment without my family.
You mentioned one time about your grandfather. Did I hear that correctly?
He's the best.
Why that grandfathers and grandparents are always special. What was special, or what is special about him?
Everything. I just wouldn't even have the vocabulary to describe what my grandfather meant to me in this world.
Mm.
I wouldn't be who I am without my grandfather. I'm exactly like him. That's one thing is like I
Mm.
am
How's
just
that?
I really in my character, I think I'm the spitting image of him. My grandfather was such a hard worker, grew up on a sharecropping farm and just really lived his life for his family. Got married when he was 17 to my grandmother, positively adored her. He also had what we call the Owens temper, which is like a flare up where you just get like really mad and then you're totally fine 5 seconds later. Like my granddad, if he this is my house. And 5 minutes later, he'd be like, "Hey, baby, do you want to go grab a sandwich?" We call it an Owens temper because it's nothing personal, but you just got to like get it out of your system.
Right.
And yeah, he taught me the meaning faith. His whole entire life was guided by faith. He was
Mm.
not Catholic, but it was faith, family, and he was not political. He really abstained
Ooh.
from politics, but when I got to see the way they lived their lives, it was conservative, not Republican, but conservative. And when my grandfather retired, he moved back down to North Carolina, where he worked on the sharecropping farm and purchased the sharecropping farm and built his
Ooh.
on it because he always kept a good relationship with the sharecroppers,
Right.
and they valued him and his hard work. And so I'm a lot like my granddad, and I always say to people, there's this viral clip of me with Ted Lieu when I'm testifying for Congress, and my granddad is behind me
Yes.
just a couple of years before he passed, and you can see him like wanting to jump out of the chair when Ted Lieu says something. And I'm like, you better be careful. No one comes for granddad and grandbaby, okay? So
And he
people
probably
are
has this
people don't
incredible.
realize granddad's not here because he would not be having it right now.
What has been the biggest change, the biggest, the biggest 180 you've made that you recognize that you weren't this way 5 years ago? Good, bad, or indifferent. Can be anything. Well, how have you really changed?
Like on a personal level or an ideological level?
Both, but I personal.
So both, obviously, ideologically, it would be Zionism. I mean, I was just so ignorant. And I mean, I worked for PragerU, I worked for Daily Wire. But I think my perspective on that is God purposefully blinded me at Turning Point USA because I needed to come through these organizations in order to arrive at this moment. Like no one can have debunked the things or known what was wrong faster on the day of Charlie's assassination than me. No one could understand how the mechanism of the PR works. I mean, I was inside of these
Mhm.
organizations, so I don't resent it. I'm grateful that I made
Mhm.
that journey and things were revealed to me exactly when they needed to be revealed to me. I would say the biggest personal change for me, obviously, getting married and having kids. You can't explain it to people who don't have children how much it just completely transforms you.
Mhm.
And I mean, did I ever think that I would be like the homeschooling mother? That's probably something that has been the biggest shock. Is I don't believe in the education system at all.
I don't
And
either.
my kids to get to the point where they're like me in their 30s and going, wait, why do I know nothing about reality? Why am I so far removed from reality? And so, hope leading that sort of educational movement and encouraging parents to take our kids back from the system is not something that I think I ever saw, and that's
What
probably
is
the biggest change.
what is their curriculum, if I might ask? Do you shape the curriculum? Do you teach? Do you have professionals? How do you do this?
Yeah, so I was teaching, and we had no idea what we were doing when we first pulled our kids out. Obviously, my kids are very young, so we're 5, 4, and that are in school, and so preschool, and we just sort of I got a book, and they make it very easy now.
Right.
Actually, you can follow a homeschool curriculum, and they will tell you what to teach them every single day. And then my husband met this guy, this Catholic guy who homeschooled all 6 of his kids, and
Wow.
he was like, "You absolutely need to meet with this woman, Abby, and she will develop this curriculum," because we were like, when do we introduce, because we want our kids obviously to grow up in the faith, so a big part of their schooling needs to be Catholic. It needs to be Latin. My husband wants them to speak Latin, to understand Latin. And so we are now, for this upcoming year, going to do it in a different way, where she literally, I mean, she gave me a book. This is what you're going to do day in and day out. And we do it as like a micro school setup. So I will be taking, rather than what I was doing this time, which was doing 4 days a week in the morning and then switching. I'm going to just take a full day. So I will have Fridays will be the day that I homeschool. And then the kids that we micro school with, their mother will take this day. And then Abby will take this day. And we're all following the same guide. So it was really a lot of trial and error. And people were reaching out to me like, what do you do? What do you do? And I was like, we don't know what we're doing yet. But when we figure it out, I will let you know. And I feel like come fall, I'll be able to speak more about exactly the curriculum that we're using because I just got my hands on it and it's great.
Do any of your children pick up a British accent? I think that would be great.
Say British words and they have no idea they're British. Like, for example, my kids always say, are you cross? Or daddy, are you cross? Right. Obviously, because that's just, they don't know that there's another way of saying it. Daddy, are you cross? Mommy, are you cross? So there's so many, there's just a lot of English words that they don't recognize as English words. Yeah.
Good. And by the way, you tell your husband,
like, I mean,
would you ever consider if you could find a really legit Catholic school with real, I don't even know if they have them, with real nuns?
We were in one. We had them, we pulled them out. I mean, I had a very crazy vision, like right before the week before Charlie passed, that some danger was coming to a school. And we pulled our kids, and I mean, it's like the story of what happened that week and how I knew something bad was going to happen, which they mock. It genuinely, I can show you the text messages, like bees. I don't know. I couldn't sleep. And I was like, something very bad is about to happen. And then it happened. It happened literally 5 days later. Charlie was assassinated in broad daylight at a school in Utah, which is the beehive state. Who knew? And I was so freaked out by that. And I thought when I was getting this sort of spiritual urgency that was coming on, it's only happened like 3 times in my life, that it was going to happen to my kids' school, And anyway, there were also just some issues with when we'd ask questions about, how did you hire this teacher? Well, we don't want to tell you how. I'm not playing that game. I know that I'm not built for arguing with the administration. It's my kid, not your kid. And so we
exactly.
Good. I'm not going to play the game and be driven crazy. So, but there's for homeschool students, they have all these facilities that are dedicated. So you're still going and doing all of the activities and ballet and music, but they have like sort of atriums that have all of these activities now. Great. So we're really kind of creating a homeschool environment, and Tennessee couldn't be, obviously it's the perfect state. So they kind of never went too forward and progressive anyway. Right. And that's the most important part of the curriculum is like making sure that still happens. And so we'll have our kids taught by priests. So they'll weekly spend time with the priest, and they're still going to know all of that stuff, but we're doing it at home and in a way that feels with other parents who also pulled their kids out of school. And so I'm a real big supporter of micro schooling, finding other parents. It makes it easier. So you don't have to do it by yourself. And, just figuring it out. And you can figure it out. They make it seem like it's so hard and so crazy. Just get going. I mean, the first day I didn't even know what to say to these kids. I was like, hello. How am I going to teach you? I don't know what I'm doing. And now it's the best part of my day. It really is. Dealing with toddler problems before you deal with real world problems. I 10 out of 10 would recommend. I so admire that. And I so thank you. I've kept you off. Thank you for putting me into it right before you go on vacation. By the way, they're going to be talking about where you're going. Is it China? You're going to meet with Xi Jinping? Are you going to go to I'll tell you
Romania?
It's Kim Jong-un.
Our dear leader, yes. Well,
our fearless leader, Kim Jong-un. Yes. Here I come.
Candace Owens, thank you. My best to you. Please give my best to your husband and your family. Tell them Cosque tandem abutere Catalina Patia dia nostra. From one Latinophile to another. You have meant so much. You are so loved. Just give me 1 second. You have no idea. I'm going to say this and you can go. A lot of people are liked, but you are loved. The people who love, and women love you. And women who, I don't know if I have to tell you this, sometimes women are not kind to other women, maybe but this is a different story. They see a sincerity in you. And when you talk about Erica, sometimes it takes, forgive me, a woman has greater insight in understanding falsity and synthetic and you just have this core. If you ever yelled "Storm the Bastille," good luck. I hope you, I hope you never use your power for ill, because you have acolytes and you have people love you, and many people who just every day your show makes them. So thank you from the
Well,
bottom of
thank
my
you as
heart.
well. I mean, you guys have no idea. I mean, like when I was suddenly swimming in a feel like a whirlpool, realizing that everything around Charlie was fake and that the people that I thought I would be fighting with, I was suddenly fighting against. I looked up and a bunch of people that I didn't know, all happened to be Catholics, by the way,
Yeah.
Aaron Coleman and you, and turning to your shows and hearing the sense. And you have no idea how much it strengthened me to listen to you. And I just loved, you have just the most extensive vocabulary. It's so lovely to listen to, and to be reinforced and like, no, Candace, this is obviously everyone else is crazy. And people are going to stand up. They're just not going to be people that Charlie knew when he was alive. And so I just want to extend the gratitude right back at you, because you never know how much I've lurked and watched your show, and it got me over.
And also, I want to hit justice for him, because I'm telling you, we're not going to let this go by. They can try to forget it. They can pave over crime scenes. They can do whatever they want. We're not going anywhere. And thanks to you, Candace. Thank you so much. You're
so
tremendous.
For allowing me to be so late today. The kids were just we're all down. We're all down.
People were asking me, "Are you sure you're going to talk to her?" Yeah, you're sure. Yeah. You're sure? This isn't some ploy. I said, no. And by the way, my best is Skylar. What a mensch he is. Your man. He is such a gentleman. Thank you, my dear. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening, and thank you guys.
Thank you so much. That, of course, was the inimitable, the ineffable. In any event, my friends, I love you. Have a great and a glorious night. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you again. This was just phenomenal. So please have a great day. And don't forget these final words. The monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Da-da.